With most Jennabelle as always, and get ready because we are going to be diving into a franchise review. Yes, I know it's been forever since I've done a franchise review. I was planning on starting back in January to try and at least, about every month or so, a new franchise, but I've been slacking, but you know what? I've got the bug, the franchise bug and everything, and we're going to be starting off, if you can tell by the title of this movie, the Child's Play franchise, Chucky franchise. We are going to be starting off with the 1988 original Child's Play. Now, just to give you guys a fair warning, I'm hoping that I will get the reboot as a part of this franchise review, because you guys know with previous franchises, if there's a remake or anything, or a reboot, I'm always really good about including that reboot, because, even if I'm not a fan of the reboot or anything, or remake, I still include it because part of the franchise. Here's the thing, though, with the newest Child's Play. I do not own it, and I have not seen it on any streaming services yet, and I personally just don't want to spend the money on it quite yet. I would rather wait till it gets, pretty cheap before I actually purchase it, because once again, part of the franchise, and I would actually like it in my franchise, because, completionist. But anyway, let's crack into this, because I've already wasted almost 2 minutes. So, Child's Play from 1988, as I've already stated, starring Catherine Hicks, Chris Sarandon, Brad Dourif, and Alex Vincent, who plays Little Andy, and this is directed by Tom Holland. So, the inspiration behind Chucky was a couple different things, from what I understand. A lot of us kind of know this. Before I get really into this, for those of you who have not ever seen any of my franchise reviews, there are going to be spoilers. So if you have not checked out Child's Play or any of the sequels or anything, please do not watch this if you do not like spoilers. And I'm sorry, I just realized, and my light's on, if this is a distraction, I am so sorry. I literally just got this lamp a few weeks ago, so I'm still getting used to it. Forgot I had it on. So if that's annoying, I'm really sorry, you guys. Just, whatever. Anyway, so a couple of different inspirations of this movie and everything. First one is the Talking Tina episode from the original Twilight series. Now that was one that was kind of a big influence and everything. Also, as well, more current things, or at least at the time, current inspirations for Chucky. Big one was those My Buddy dolls. I know there's also a female companion, Big Sister. Those were huge in the 80s, along with, Cabbage Patch dolls and everything. But, the My Buddy was one of those where, one of the first, not necessarily, the first, but one of the first sort of toys that you both had a male kind of counterpart and a female counterpart, so that way both kids can have their own little buddies and everything. Another one that was kind of an inspiration for this, I don't know if it was a direct inspiration, but you can definitely tell some of the influences, and that is the Teddy Ruxpin doll. Which is, for those of you who don't know what a Teddy Ruxpin is, it literally is an interactive teddy bear. In the stomach or on the back, there's a little cassette tape insert where, back in the day when we had cassette tapes and everything, think VHS basically for music, and yet you can't watch videos, but it will play songs and stuff and whatnot. And of course, the mouth would move and everything, eyes would blink, so there was some movement and everything. Obviously, they kind of use that a little bit for Chucky as well. So that's kind of where some of the inspiration was. And also, too, I know, I believe Tom Holland, or it was a writer, who also had the inspiration of how marketing is geared towards kids, and especially too in the 80s, a lot of that was getting like people who were doing ads and stuff, marketing and everything, were starting to really wise up in the psychology of showing or marketing toys and whatnot to kids and everything, and how powerful that is and everything. And you definitely see this in this film. It portrays it pretty accurately, so yeah. And you can tell, like I said, that was really kind of like the start of a lot of these different things that we see, like those trends that we see now with kids and everything. So but yeah, so basically a little bit of inspiration, like I said, for this movie. So but the the movie opens up with a chase scene involving Brad Dourif and Chris Sarandon. I keep wanting to say Susan Sarandon, who Susan Sarandon was married to Chris Sarandon at one point. So if I do say Susan Sarandon, please forgive me. But anyway, so they are in a chase. I almost said it. Chris Sarandon's character, Mike, is chasing after Brad Dourif, who obviously is Charles Lee Ray. And Charles Lee Ray, fun fact, for those of you, I feel like this is pretty common knowledge, but for you youngins out there who might not know this, or maybe some of you guys who might not, who love this movie, the name of Charles Lee Ray is taken from 3 other murders slash assassins, I guess. And those are obviously, first one, very obvious, Charles Manson. The other 2 are Lee Harvey Oswald, who was, depending on who you talk to, is responsible for killing John F. Kennedy back in 1963. And the other is James Earl Ray, not to be confused with James Earl Jones, 2 totally different people, who was the person responsible, unfortunately, person who was responsible for assassinating Martin Luther King. So those are the sort of like influences a little bit, and influences behind his name. But so anyway, we are seeing them, you know, and everything. Charles runs into this toy store. He's been shot a couple times or something. Realizes he's kind of running out of time and figures, hey, you know what, before I die, I'm going to do a little voodoo magic here and transfer my soul into this doll, which will be my temporary vehicle till I can find someone else. Here's the thing, though. As much as Charlie Ray thinks he knows all this stuff to go on with voodoo and everything, he succeeds with this soul transfer and everything, but we find that later, through another character who he has learned this from, that there's certain things he kind of missed and does not understand. For example, I'll bring it up now. Like, for example, the longer that he stays in this good guy body, the more human this doll will take on, the more characteristics, human characteristics, such as bleeding, feeling pain, and that obviously, eventually, you're gonna die. Because, yeah, it's inevitable. But also, too, another interesting thing is the only way that he can go ahead and transfer out of this doll is to go ahead and insert his soul into the body of the first person that he confided into. Way to go, Chuck, because the first person you admitted this to and opened up to about was a 6-year-old. So, kind of like, what's better, being stuck in a doll or being stuck in a 6-year-old? I mean, I guess maybe in a way I would rather be a doll instead of a 6-year-old, but then again, a 6-year-old will eventually grow up and everything, so maybe if he played his cards right, could have transferred bodies, laid low for a few years, you know, like, maybe at least 6 years when the kid's, like, 12, and then be, like, a killer kid. No? So, I don't know which one would actually be better. What do you guys think? I don't know. Let me know, whatever. Maybe that'll be another little, video topic. I don't know. I say them, but then I'll probably forget about it. But anyway. So, so this, you wonder, like, why do we need to know all this? Well, here's the thing. Fast forward to a scene or two later, where we meet Andy, well, a few scenes later, the next scene where we meet Andy and his mother, Karen. It is Andy's birthday. Like I said, 6-year-old kid, and right off the bat, we are introduced to Andy, and he's watching his Saturday morning cartoons, which of course is the good guy, cartoon and everything. Once again, right off the bat, as I said, we see how marketing towards kids and everything, because, you know, you have the toys and everything. You have to watch the show itself. Andy's making breakfast for his mom, little breakfast in bed. He's got the cereal, like we still see it today and everything, but back then I feel like it was so much more of that. Like, you had Super Mario Brothers cereal, you had Legends of Zelda cereal, you had Transformers cereal, you had Transformers cartoons and everything. So there are just so many different marketing aspects to this, and it was really kind of genius to play into that, especially when you have pretty much your main character, aside from Chucky, being a 6-year-old kid. So it's a lot of perspective of, like, a kid and everything, and being really naive, not understanding, you know, like, this fascination and this attachment to a kid. Plus the fact that Andy, you know, comes from a broken home. His mom's a single mom. We don't know, like, what happened to the dad. That's never even mentioned. So, and, you know, Andy's kind of on his own a lot. Well, not like on his own. I mean, obviously, if he's not at school or daycare, he has a babysitter, usually his Aunt Maggie, who's just, like, his mom's best friend and everything. So, of course, you know, he wants something like a doll. Like, this is, like, the perfect sort of, like, companion for kids who, even, like, the, you know, My Buddy dolls, where kind of that sort of therapeutic kind of toy where a kid might be a little lonely, or maybe, you know, very much a situation like Andy's, where the kid might take to a doll like this as a sort of like filling a void type of thing. So yeah, once again, going back to the whole psychology thing of marketing towards kids and everything, you know, so I'm just saying. So he really wants this toy and everything, but of course, for some reason, his mom did not know about this doll, which seems like this doll's been around for at least a few months. I don't know, because it has all the accessories and everything. Why would you come out with all the accessories and not, like, a doll? You know, but anyway, so she did not have enough money to get this doll, but later on at work, here comes Maggie and is like, hey, there's a hobo out there selling this good guy doll. Like, you know, you want it. So they go get it, grab it and everything. And of course, this is the one from the toy store that burned down and everything, and where, you know, they think that Charles Lee Ray is dead. No, it is the Chucky doll that he transferred his soul in. You guys kind of know that story. Most of you guys know that story. And so, right off the bat, like, here's the thing, too. Like, I would think that this would kind of give you pause real quick, especially as the mom. Like, I can see Andy kind of thinking, like, okay, you pull the toy out, starts working right away. Here's the thing. As the mom, I would think that, like, and I know she bought it from, like, a hobo in the back alley of her work. Weird, whatever. But wouldn't you kind of stop to think, like, wait, are the batteries in here yet? But doesn't even, like, think about it, you know? I mean, I guess in a way maybe she wouldn't think about it, because maybe Hobo put it in the doll. But I feel like the Hobo would have just taken the batteries out, because, like, even back then, batteries are insanely freaking expensive. He could have made another $20 off those freaking batteries. Just saying. Could have recouped the money that he was losing on selling Karen that doll and everything, you know? I'm just saying. God, Karen, come on. Whatever. Something I kind of like in this is when Andy is bringing his mom his mom, her lunch. I know I'm backtracking a little bit, but something that they did that I thought was really cool and meant to be sort of like a little bit of a red herring for this movie was he was bringing the tray into her room and they like are showing his feet, kind of like concentrating on his feet, which I thought was pretty good because it's like trying to set up the audience of like maybe this doll really isn't doing all these things, maybe it is actually Andy. But of course, obviously, we know because we've already seen so much of Chucky kind of doing these things and everything. But I just thought that was a fun little effective thing that they threw in there with this movie. So, but hey, whatever. And here's the other thing too, like with that, when Chucky kills Maggie at the beginning of the movie, really, that is a really great kill scene. I know we've seen people going out a window and smashing through the top of a car, the hood of a car and everything. I know that's been done so many times before and since then, but I like that one. I really do like that one. And of course, you know, first person that they think it is Andy for obvious reasons, because Andy's the only other one that was in the apartment, even though he was in bed. And secondly, there is some footprints on the counter in some of this flour and everything. And Chris Sarandon, when he's at the apartment, you know, notices these, and it's kind of like, why would Andy be up here? But then notices Andy's little good guy slippers. Ask him like, oh, what's on your feet? He tells him and everything. He checks Andy's shoes, but doesn't see anything and doesn't even give pause of like checking Chucky's shoes, even though Andy's like, Chucky did it. So yeah, that's the thing too of, you know, Andy throughout this movie is straight up telling the truth about all this, but no one believes him. Like Chris Sarandon's character Mike doesn't believe him. Even his mom doesn't believe him. And that's, you know, for a kid, for your parents not to believe you, like, that's pretty tough. And his mom keeps telling him, like, I need you to tell the truth. Like, they're going to take you away. This is going to happen. And he's like, I am telling you the truth. And he even looks at Chucky and is like, say something. Like, tell them what's going on, you know? And Andy's just not understanding that, like, yeah, obviously, you know, like, there's something wrong with this Chucky doll. You know, he's too young to understand really what's going on with Chucky. The fact that there is an actual, you know, criminal living in this doll, basically. So he, you know, so in a sense, it was perfect that Chucky ended up being in this doll that goes to a 6-year-old kid. Because if it was like a kid that was maybe 10, would maybe kind of cut it a little bit close on like age appropriateness. I mean, I guess a 10-year-old kid having a doll like this is okay, but I think a 10-year-old might be a little more like, something's quite not right here, because you have, obviously you're not going to quite understand everything, but you're a little more savvy in that sense of like, that's a little weird. 6-year-old, not so much. So, but it is until after a few things start happening and everything that Karen starts to realize, wait a second, what's going on? And what really sets her off is the fact that she's looking at the box that Chucky came in, which, why does she still have the box? Like, that shit's usually, like, in the trash, like, as soon as your kid opens it. Batteries fall out, and she's like, She picks up Chucky, and he's like, okay, come on, talk, trying to provoke this thing, you know, to see if it's really, like, you know, like, something's up. You know, so, and of course, not until she kind of threatens to throw him in the fire that here he comes, like, get away from me, bitch, and just all this stuff, having a little fight and everything. And I know people always kind of make this crack with the Chucky movies, like, oh, it's just a doll, like, just kick it and, like, stomp on it and you're good. But damn, that thing is really, like, that thing's durable, dude. And we will see throughout the rest of the series, just, yeah, how many times the damn doll comes back and he's freaking durable. I know a couple of times he was kind of made anew and everything, so not quite the same original shell that he initially put himself into, but still, man, just saying. But yeah, no, I mean, this first movie is not really that bad. It's kind of weird too, because like I remember watching these movies, especially like the first three, kind of growing up and everything. But it's weird because like I never really took to them like I did with Halloween or Friday 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street or anything, which is kind of weird, you know? Like, and I know a lot of people really do love these movies and everything. That's props, man. I don't know. Like, which is, and it's weird because it's like I don't completely dislike them. Like, I mean, I don't dislike them. I do actually genuinely enjoy these movies, but it's just one of those franchises that I'm just like, you know, whatever. If it's on or something, or maybe I'll pop in a one of my copies or whatever. But yeah, like I don't watch it as much as I do with the other like franchises and stuff. So, a couple of things too. Sorry, a couple more things with this movie. For example, like when towards the end or whatever, with like the final showdown and everything. First of all, okay, so Chris Sarandon finally his character starts like believing like, oh crap, you know, even as he's starting to believe Karen and everything, when Mike is starting to kind of like, you know, there is something a little shady about this, maybe there's something to this, starts kind of helping investigate a little bit with Karen, who's very much like, I'm taking action, I'm gonna do this, you know, like I don't know, there's a certain point when they get back to the apartment, like Andy escapes the little hospital and everything, and like they get back to the apartment and, you know, he gets stabbed. Mike gets stabbed a couple of times from Chucky. I know like once, maybe both times or whatever, in the leg and stuff, in one of the legs. But it's like after that, he's almost like totally taken out of the picture. So Karen's got to go and like do all this stuff and everything, and I'm like, I literally kind of forgot that he was there until after, like, they burned him up and goes back to or he's like, Karen! He's yelling from the bedroom, Karen! Karen! What's going on? It's like, dude, I forgot you were even in this movie. Like, I know that you're injured, but you're the police officer. You couldn't at least drag yourself the 3.5 feet to the phone to call for backup? Like, the freaking guy from the hospital had to come and do that for you? Yeah, that was the other thing. Like, one of the doctors from the institution finally kind of randomly shows up, like, after the fact of everything. Like, everyone could have freaking died, dude. It could have been your, like, you know. But here's the thing, though. Like, with Chris Sarandon, like, he couldn't get up and, like, try to, like, you know, muster up the courage to, like, help out or anything, like, because, I mean, you always hear about people with, like, this, like, unbelievable strength, you know, even after being hurt and stuff, and it's like, none of that? Is it because it's, like, it's not your kid here, you're still kind of like, I don't know if the kid's really telling me the truth, like, are you still skeptical? I don't know, is that why you're not helping out? The other thing, and sorry, I know I'm kind of ragging on this, but it's like, and I know it's kind of, like, moot to even, like, bring this up, but it just seems sort of, it's one of those things where I feel like people do kind of like bring up, and it's like, the other thing is like when she throws Chucky into the fireplace, Andy lights the fireplace and he starts burning up. How did the apartment not catch fire? Like, everything in that apartment was so flame retardant. Like, the mantle above was not catching fire. Like, I don't even think there was burn marks or scorch marks from that. And those flames were, like, high. Like, they were really coming out of that fireplace. Because, you know, Chucky's huge. He's up in flames. He breaks out. Is walking on the carpet. Carpet's really not catching fire. Like, there's a couple little spots, like little, you know, just tiny little flames. Jumps on the couch. Once again, a couple of little flames, but not catching fire. Maybe it was flame retardant. I don't know, but everything flame retardant. Like I don't know. It's one of those things where I'm like, like I said, I know, totally mood, I know, but as I was watching this a little bit ago, I just was like, I'm sorry, like, my house probably would be up in flames, and 85% of my house is hardwood floors, but I know, like, shit's gonna get caught on fire, so, whatever, so, but yeah. But yeah, so yeah, at the end, I mean, Chucky's like completely like dead and everything. Last shot that we see is Andy's face kind of through the crack of the door before it's fully closed and everything. But yeah, I mean, I feel like it wasn't really set up for a sequel. Um, but if it was, obviously, kind of seeing like the aftermath uh, with uh, with Andy. I almost said Alex. I'm like, that's not right. With Andy and everything, it would have been kind of nice to see, like, you know, him with, like, the trauma and everything, and we kind of do see that, we do kind of get that in the next one and everything, which I will talk about, but yeah, it just, I don't know, like, because it's been a long time since I've seen this first one, so it's like, I always kind of forget exactly, like, how the ending sequence goes and everything, but, I don't know, like, it would have been interesting to kind of see the effects of these events and everything, and how it affects Andy and everything, and maybe, you know, have it fast forward a few years later. And I know probably you would have to recast the kid and everything, if they were to do this, like, say, like a 12-year-old kid or something, and he starts kind of acting out, harming other, you know, kids and everything. I don't know. I think that would have been kind of interesting, you know? Who else? Who else is with me on that? I don't know. But I mean, still, regardless, with the next installment, we still follow Andy. It's the original kid actor, Alex Vincent, in this. Remember, I wanted to call him Alex, because that's his name in real life. Whatever. But yeah, no, I think it would have been kind of interesting to maybe see that. But once again, obviously, you know, especially too, this came out in the 80s, and yeah, 80s were pretty notorious for sequels and franchises and everything. I mean, come on, the rest of, or most of, like, the Halloween movies, I know Halloween came out in 78, but then, you know, like 81, you had Halloween 2, 83, we had Halloween 3, 88, 89, Halloween's 4 and 5, not to mention, obviously, Friday 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, the rest of, you know, or I shouldn't say the rest of, but a couple of, or at least one couple of Texas Chainsaws. So it was really sort of, you kind of knew that with the sequel, we're going to get Chucky again, because, once again, franchises and iconic slashers and everything, so, but yeah, no, first one, definitely, you know, even after it's been a while since I've seen this one, still holds up, in my opinion. It does, it's still a fun one, you know, and I definitely have a little bit more of an appreciation of at least this first one and everything, so, but let me know, you guys, in the comments, what you think of Child's Play from 1988 in the comments. Till next time, as always, stay creepy, classy, and a little bit sassy.